Hello and welcome to Glastire's road trip diary. Brandon, Zach, and I went up into the Panhandle it was last month.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to bring you the highlights of that trip and as just sort of, what would you say, a travelogue?
Travelogue.
For you, if you have any plans on getting up into the Panhandle anytime soon. There's a strong art presence throughout the Panhandle. It's surprising and it's refreshing and it's cool. A good way to visit the Panhandle is to head out from Dallas-Fort Worth, head west. Your first stop will be Albany, Texas.
It's only 3 hours away.
It's the Old Jail Art Center, which is housed in truly an old 1878 jail. Patrick Kelly has been running the space for a long time. It's excellent. It's got a revolving schedule of contemporary art shows that take place in the old jail cells themselves. It's called the Cell Series. A lot of people that you would have heard of have had solo shows there. And then the other wings, which are newer, house the permanent collection, a lot of modernism, a lot of post-impressionism, a lot of Texas modernism.
And they have a really strong contemporary art collection, which isn't something that I actually expected in the old jail. They have a really great Tony Fair, they have Trenton Doyle Hancock, they have a lot of
Helen
things
Altman,
out
a
there.
lot of people, yeah. Scott Barber. There are probably 15 pieces in the sculpture garden. It's a nice little dense kind of explosion of Texas sculptors. So 30 minutes down the road from Albany is Abilene. And Abilene is, of course, the main museum there is the Grace Museum.
And it's housed in the Hotel Grace, which was built in, I believe it was 1909.
The Grace Museum is great, and Judy Tedford Deaton is the curator there. She brings in some wonderful shows. There are group shows, there are historic shows. When we were there, it was called Spanish Texas. It was about Spain's influence on the Texas, Mexico, the history of the region and the art and the design in the region. There are also permanent exhibitions or kind of dioramas of living spaces through the decades and for that region, for specifically Abilene, what rooms used to look like, what textiles used to look like, what clothing used to look like. In the summertime, this is great. They've got a film series that they do up on their wonderful rooftop with the very cool sign right there. We love the hippo. We had to say goodbye to the hippo, and then we hit the road and headed up toward Lubbock.
Only 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Not far.
No. So Lubbock really is kind of the center, I would say, of the Panhandle art scene.
And that's due to a number of factors. It's due to the university, and then also there's been great patronage in Lubbock. The Louise Hopkins Underwood Center for the Arts is actually named for the recently deceased Louise Hopkins Underwood, who was kind of, I would say, Lubbock's art grandmother.
Yeah, so Louise Hopkins Underwood Center for the Arts, LUCA, is really kind of the center or the hub of the art scene in Lubbock. We were lucky when we were there because the exhibition on show was the 20th anniversary of LUCA, which was, it was 100 artists?
Yeah, more than 100 works of artists who were involved in LUCA in different ways. You know, maybe they had shows, maybe they were residents at the across the street Charles Adams Studio Project. So LUCA kind of serves as this home base, and then a lot of things have been kind of established around it. So there's the Charles Adams Studio Gallery, which hosts a rotating roster of kind of Panhandle, Lubbock artists. There's the Charles Adams Studio Project, which is 4 live workspaces that are just fantastic.
So an artist residency.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of where the hub for the First Friday Art Trail is in Lubbock too, which has gathered, a crowd of more than
3,000 people.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a big
enormous.
deal.
Yeah, it's an enormously popular monthly showcase. There's the 5&J Gallery, there's an outdoor stage. LUCA itself has been expanding into some of the other outbuildings. From there, we headed over to the other reason that Lubbock has got such a strong art scene, which is Texas Tech University. The school has a really strong public art program. One of the things that really stood out to us, we got a really nice tour of the campus, was the new Sculpture in 3D building. It's incredible. I don't know that there's anything rivaling it at any school in the U.S.
It's any artist's or sculptor's dream space. There are kilns out the wazoo.
Oh my gosh.
I've never seen so many kilns in one place.
Yeah. So from Lubbock, we hopped in the car and headed up the highway straight north to Canyon, Texas, which is the home of the Panhandle-Plains Historical Museum, which we put in our top 5 museums in Texas for good reason. This place is...
It's weird.
It's really bonkers in a wonderful way. It's completely unique. It covers the entire history of the region in this one museum. I mean, we're talking about from Paleolithic era up until now. It has rotating exhibitions. It's got a huge permanent collection of everything that you can possibly think of under the sun.
An oil derrick?
Yes,
in
fossils,
the museum.
Car collection, major, super meticulous dioramas of Native American life, pioneer life. It has a pioneer town built into the museum.
It's completely interactive, by the way. You go into these little storefront buildings and it's all laid out how it would be.
You can walk into an old Western bar. It's crazy. It's also a dignified museum. I irrationally love this museum. It's one of my favorite places in the state. Just 30 minutes up the road from Canyon is Amarillo. This was our last stop on our Panhandle trip.
And of course, we pulled into Amarillo and immediately gravitated towards the most touristy thing in Amarillo, which is the Big Tex restaurant, where you could eat a 72-ounce steak in 1 hour. You can get it for free.
Matthew Williams, Mad Dog Williams, was our tour guide in Amarillo. He's been a fixture on the scene, an artist and a fixture on the scene for years, and he took us to where we needed to go. Our first stop with him was, of course, Cadillac Ranch. If you're in Amarillo, you've got to do this pilgrimage site, Ant Farm's installation, commissioned by Stanley Marsh.
One of the things that he mentioned about Cadillac Ranch actually was how crowded it is now. Mm-hmm. It's a thing that's been continuously kind of growing in popularity, and the ability for anybody to take a spray can and just paint anything they want on it. One of the best details, or one of my favorite parts of this trip, actually was looking at the axles and the wheels and seeing this gooey paint drip.
After that, he took us out to the Amarillo ramp, Smithson's Amarillo ramp. It's not easy to find.
This is something you're going to have to make a reservation for and get someone to take you out there, because there's no way. It's on the middle of a ranch, and even people who go out there rather regularly may not know exactly how to get there without help.
Yeah, so we finally hit the Amarillo ramp. We had a beautiful day. It's doing what it's meant to do. It's kind of descending into its entropy, which I think was the intention, although there is some sort of minimal maintenance on the site. We saw some of the remaining signs from Stanley Marsh's sign project. Once upon a time, there were thousands of these signs throughout Amarillo. Now there are not thousands, there might be a few hundred, and Matt Williams was able to show us some of those in situ in various residential neighborhoods.
But we drove by and waved at Ed Ruscha's original model for his standard station. It's still there. It still looks very much like it did, it seems. Just has a new paint job.
Still a working station. Last but not least was the Amarillo Museum of Art. This was our last stop. This is a big, cool, brutalist building. It's not the easiest building for art, but I really like the building. And we got lucky with that one as well, because the main show, the main exhibition while we were there, was Monty Ritchie's collection. Monty Ritchie, the gentleman rancher of yore, who had a 1 million-acre ranch out in the Panhandle, and he also collected Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. He had a really nice collection, and it was on view while we were there.
Probably my favorite part about the Amarillo Museum of Art was actually a bunch of ukiyo-e woodcuts that were in the bottom floor. Some great, Hiroshige Japanese prints that, I don't see good examples like that on view even in Houston.
It was a good way to end the trip, and then from there you can enjoy a leisurely 6-hour drive back to Dallas. This is a road trip. We recommend that you get in the car, the truck, and hit the road.